Recently, I was thinking about how the game Sonic 4 Episode 1 is unfairly treated, and despite not being worthy of that name, it's a good game, mainly on mobile, as Dimps, the game's developer, is largely responsible for the Hedgehog classics on portable device, such as the Advanced Trilogy and the Sonic Rush games. I've always had an absurd nostalgia for these games. I played both episodes on Android and I've always had a lot of fun with these games. But recently, I ended up replaying this game and taking the nostalgia blindfold off my eyes. The version I played of this game was the Android version, which I'm very nostalgic for, and it was the cheapest option because I don't want to pay a lot of money in this game. If the name of this game wasn't Sonic 4, I would even forgive it, because for the year it was released, it's a good mobile game. However, it was also released for consoles and PC, and the presentation of this title is quite ugly. The title screen features a 3D render moving at 2 or 3 frames per second, giving away that this game wasn't made with a big budget. When starting a new game, we start in the Splash Hill Zone, which is based on our beloved Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1, and we see the 3D model of Sonic, which received an update in the mobile version and is much better than the PC version. However, the scenarios are pre-rendered, which wouldn't be a problem if the game's art direction didn't make everything appear to made of plastic, which gives an artificial tone to the game's environment. We start to running through the level. The physics of this game are very strange. The momentum doesn't work as it should, unlike the classics. And I say this after having finished Sonic 2 a few months ago, a great classic that in 1992 already had fluid movement and physics for the Mega Drive, which is very limited compared to 2010's technology. Although the physics are quite strange, you can get used to it, and this doesn't make the game unplayable. When passing the level, collecting 50 rings, we can see a large ring at the end of the level that gives access to a special stage that is similar to the special stages from Sonic 1. With the difference that this time you control the maze by turning the smartphone from side to side. These stages are to get the 7 Chaos Emeralds to transform Sonic into a Super Saiyan, but I didn't have the patience to get them all. When we finished the level, we came across the road map and discovered the very little amount of content this game offers. After all, this still is the episode 1. There are only 4 zones with 4 acts in each zone, one act being exclusive to the boss, who has a song that is very annoying. It's a loop lasting a few seconds in all bosses. They have 2 phases as well. In other words, there are only 12 stages and 4 boss stages, not counting the final boss stage, which is one of the laziest things I've ever seen. It's basically a boss rush, recycling all the bosses. You will fight the bosses all over again. At least the normal stages in the same zone have different mechanics and sometimes small changes in the environment, in addition to each stage having its own music. The highlight, in my opinion, is the Act 3 of the Splash Hill Zone, which has a beautiful view of the sunset. It's the only stage that I think is beautiful in the game, the mobile version of course. And after that we go to the stage with the Las Vegas vibe, Casino Street Zone. Based on Casino Night from Sonic 2. Act 2 of the mobile version is terrible. It's pinball with the weird physics of this game. Act 1 is normal platforming, and Act 3 has some cannons. The boss is based on the Casino Night boss and is a piece of cake. And after this, we go to the Lost Labyrinth, based on Labyrinth Zone from Sonic 1, and it is a normal level with the Indiana Jones mechanic of running away from the round rocks and in some parts climbing on top of them. It's an interesting level. The mechanics of climbing the rocks are weird, but once you get used to it, this is very easy. The Act 2 is exclusive to the mobile version with motion controls. It's like the minecart stage in Donkey Kong Country, but much easier. Anyone can pass this stage. In Act 3, we have a stronger presence of water as a mechanic, with several sections underwater and reference to the Labyrinth Zone from Sonic 1. The boss itself is a clear allusion to the Labyrinth Zone from Sonic 1, where Sonic chases Eggman, but unlike Sonic 1, where we don't have a direct battle, in the end we have a very lazy clash, where you have to hit Eggman, being careful to not be crushed. Then we go to the Mad Gear, which is another one based on old Sonic stages, and this time one of the most difficult from the classic era, Metropolis from Sonic 2. The enemies are all recycled, and that cursed star is also found on this area. First act is very common, and in the second appear the locked gears and hamster wheels that Sonic has to run to proceed and solve small puzzles. In Act 3 we have a chase, Sonic vs Wall. I die several times in this stage because of the broke physics of this game. And we arrive at the end with a boss rush of all bosses. And we arrive at the great climax. The Egg Robot from Sonic 2, which allows you to use a strategy similar to the one I used in Sonic 2 until the second phase of the boss. After several deaths I finished the game, and the ending is a copy of the ending of Sonic 1. The game's graphics are good by smartphone standards from the 2010s, but we have to remember that this game came out for Wii, Xbox 360, PS3 and PC. And at the time this game came out, similar games had better graphics. The soundtrack isn't bad, but it's pretty weak compared to the rest of the franchise. It has good songs, but most of the songs are just okay. The compositions are cool, but the execution makes these songs not that memorable. In my specific case, the soundtrack works because I'm nostalgic with these games. I know that it's strange, but I grew up playing these games. Sonic 4 is a failed attempt to capture the essence of the classic games. It's not enough to put the game in a 2D perspective. It is necessary to capture the essence of the gameplay, which in this case is a game that rewards you for playing well, by making you go extremely fast through the stages, but the physics of this game get in the way, not generating the necessary momentum, and that's all I had to say. Thank you for listening to me, and see you soon.